Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Kat, known as phamerina.planning here on YouTube and on Instagram, and today's video is a back plan with me for a week in 2023. Hold on, I should prepare better. It is for the week of June. Yes, I said June. Wednesday, June 14th through Tuesday, June 20th, using this Sadie Stickers mystery. I believe it was the September 2023 one, foiled in silver. I did get this has a D-stash from Michelle, so she threw in a few extras for me, which is where the Pretty Pink Co. Like swatch alcohol inks came from, and those torn papers, although I did not end up using those torn papers. So yes, this was in June. So let's do some, not housekeeping, but let's get some thoughts out of the way here. So when I do back plan with me's, I kind of just do whatever dates that I want, since I'm not necessarily tied to consecutive weeks inside of my planner. So this is for a week where my husband and I went to attend a friend's wedding in Banff, Canada. Um, they had a wedding up in the mountains. So we had a thought, or had a feeling, that it would be chilly. We knew it was probably going to be a little colder than it was down here in the States for June. But what we didn't anticipate was the snowstorm that happened. And I don't think, or at least maybe they didn't articulate to us, that the probability of it snowing the way it did was pretty high. Thus why I decided to use this kit for June, even though, I mean, I guess in the Southern Hem, do you guys, sorry, my ignorance is showing a little bit here, I guess, or my lack of international logic or knowledge about like the Southern Hemisphere. Like, do you guys, I know, I bet in Antarctica you do. Um, but do you guys experience this type of weather in June? Because I know the seasons are flipped. So, um, in my head, because I have never been to these places during those times of years, like, it's just colder. I don't think you, like, in my head, I don't think like you guys are seeing snow in June down there. But I could be wrong. So please, like, this is not coming from a place of ignorance. This is coming from a place of like, I literally do not know because I've never been there. And I guess I could just look it up. I probably will after this video. But um like, it, that's why it's kind of like weird to me. You'll see later on, I left it in the video. When I start to do my sidebar, um I pull out this December script because I was like, oh yeah, this is the winter kit, it's going for December. Literally after I finished my sidebar, I've, turned off all my filming equipment. I was like, wait, the wedding happened in June. Like, the disconnect was so like hard in my head. Um so you'll see that in a little bit. Like, and then I had to fix it because I used one of the you'll see it in a little bit. But back to what we were saying. So Banff, I mean, I had a feeling it was going to be cold, but we didn't anticipate the snowstorm. I don't think the wedding party did. It was a, I guess you would call it a micro wedding. There was about 20 people there, mostly the bride side of the family, plus my, well, Josh and Haley. This is a Josh I've referenced to previously. My husband's best friend. So we were on his side, and his mom showed up. We don't talk about the relationships between him and his family, so let's just leave it at that. That is not my place to disclose. So I feel like majority of the guests were relatively surprised about the weather that we got. Because I remember them talking about like, oh, we're gonna need to get like layers for our attire, because they chose what you would typically associate with a wedding. Um, so for my sidebar, I wanted to pull in some of this beautiful artwork from the deco page and the journaling kit. I'm pretty sure the stamps were on the journaling kit, but you don't see the stamps till later. But these Polaroids were so pretty, and like the artwork, this lake scene was stunning. It was so pretty. I knew I wanted to pull it in somewhere. And since I didn't have, or I had, it's not that I didn't have something. It's I had this foiled sampler from the Pretty Pink Co. that had a lot of winter themed things on it already. I was like, let's just make use of this. Let's put it here. We're gonna remember to pull it in. Um, and make use of it, because otherwise it's just going to sit in my stash and I'm not going to use it. So we're going to use it. So for my sidebar, like I wanted to keep it like honestly relatively simple, has in very since I was hold on, let me back up. Since I was planning on using a large script for my month, I wanted to keep the clip art relatively simple. See, here it is. Um and I pulled in see, I just don't know how I didn't realize it at the time. Um, I wanted to pull in like the garlands, I think that's what they're called. Um, at the top, just because here, if I left it like this, it looks a little naked. But I didn't want to only use the snowflakes as the accent, so I pulled in some of the garlands, which I think were from the foil sampler for this mystery subscription. Um, and then um more snowflakes, but not too many because I didn't want to go overboard with the foil for this one. I really didn't. um and then here's mistake number two, which I didn't realize till I started doing the day by day, I believe is when I noticed it, or just before like the last set of finishing touches for the um boxes, the full boxes. um that I was gonna actually start on I wanted to start on a Wednesday. Um, I do not remember if I fully finished explaining what I was saying about my dates. Since I'm not tethered to having every single week in my planner. Um, what I will do is for these back plan with me's is kind of center the event that I want to highlight. So in this instance, it was the wedding. However, the wedding occurred on a Monday. Um, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. So we got to Canada on Friday. The wedding was on Monday, and then we went home on Tuesday. So like if I stuck to the standard Monday through Sunday, it really wouldn't encapsulate my trip. Um, since it was like an awkward set of days. So I just decided that I was just going to do the relevant days, the relevant 7 days that I wanted to do. So here's me realizing that this was not December. Um, but that's why with my back plan with me is I kind of just there's like no rules for me for me. I just kind of do whatever I want. So when I realized it, I've checked to see if I had a large June script. I didn't. So now we had to fill in this awkward gap that I left. That is left. Not I didn't do it. I mean, I did, but I didn't intentionally do it. That was left due to the fact that there was no um, large June script, and also the June script wouldn't have filled the same amount of space that December script did. So I had to figure out how to fill in the gap. So I personally feel that this sidebar is a little wonky, just because of the scale. Like for me in my head, when I have like a smaller month script, it'll just go in the top, right? I would do it like kind of the standard way. But there was no way to really fix that at this point. I could not really switch gears to do that. Um for this one, it just was not working. So my sorry bar feels a little lopsided here. For my full boxes, I did actually take some inspiration from Christine, because I feel like she's really good at um creating these moments in like the center row, and like framing them. Like I've noticed she tends to frame like a top left and a bottom right. Um And like for some like however she does it, it's so like pleasing to look at. Cuz in my planning style, I guess if you want to call it that way, I would um prefer for it to be like a solid line across the middle. Like think the September spread, think um the crisp spread, um there was a Sadie Stickers one, Wildflower, I believe that one was called. Like those go solidly all the way across. Like it fills all the way. Um and somehow Christine does it where she like leaves like these gaps, um that she fills in with like minimal deco or like smaller deco. Like for me, I would fill that in with big deco, just because I want to fill that space up. And somehow she always like makes it work. Like here, I still do kind of put the full boxes. Like I'm going to fill most of the space up. Um, but I took a page from her book and just kind of framed it with the top left and the bottom right. Um, Part of me feels or wishes I didn't put that full box with the I guess maybe it's like a ski lounge. I wish I kind of did a large like another piece of deco in that spot rather than a full box just to because it feels a little unbalanced. Looking back at it now, I'm like, ooh, I kind of wished that I didn't make it too cocked, but what's done is done. We don't, as Christine says, what's done is done. There's not much I can do about it now. We learn from our mistakes. Um, but that doesn't mean like I don't thoroughly enjoy what happened here. I just kind of wish I did it better. I wish I didn't lean too much onto the full boxes because I did have some of these art scenes on the deco. There was the Polaroid that had, so I used the one with the lake. So I believe there was one with the ski lounge. I had the deco with the um like the clothes and the flat lay. So I could have, instead of relying on the full box, done this or executed this with the deco instead. But lessons for next time when I try to attempt this again. So as you see now, the date covers are, or not the date, but the date scripts are off. I tried to salvage them. They just, the foil popped right off. Because I realized it a few days after the fact. I was like, that's right. I didn't want to start on a Monday. I wanted to start on a completely different day. But, so we lost those date scripts, but that's okay. Because they were on glossy paper and I didn't really, or the clear paper. However, um, the dates covers were a teensy bit too big for this date cover area. So then we just went in with the um what is that called? The date scripts from the journal page. And we made it work. Personally, I just prefer the look of the transparent matte versus the like the premium matte on there, but um we live, right? And then I just kept trying to like it didn't look right. And that's probably because of how cocked I made those boxes on the left page. So I tried to figure it out, tried to fix it for a while before I decided, you know what? We're not going to mess with it anymore because you messing with it is making it worse. So we're just going to add a teensy bit more of the florals because these florals are really pretty. And then we sprinkle a little bit more snowflakes and then we don't mess with it anymore. No more messing with it. No, we're done. We're done. No more messing with it. So Wednesday, we're starting with, I'm gonna have to try to catch myself here. We're gonna rely on our notes. Wednesday, June 14th, was the last day of work before our little vacation, or as my friends in the north call it, our little holiday, which is very interesting to me that we use different terms to basically talk about the same thing. Hi Christine. um, uh, so this was the last day of work. I didn't really keep extensive notes for this trip. I had our itinerary written down, But other than that, I didn't really like write too much. Granted, I did put a lot of this on my own personal Instagram so I could flip through the stories and be like, "Oh, right, that's what we did this day." Um, Last day of work before vacation, and then since Bub was a year. No, he wasn't. He was just 6 April, May, June. So he was about 8 months at the time, and we didn't want to risk getting him on a plane. Also with a young child at a wedding. This was a micro wedding. We didn't want to put them in a position to accommodate our child, even though they probably would have. So we asked, or we made sure that my family was able to take care of him for the duration of this trip, and I am so grateful that they were able to. I missed him like hell, though. I really did. Um, but he would not have survived the flights. Like, I feel like when most young children get on a plane, it's not really a good story. And I know, like, you have to do it out of necessity sometimes. But since I didn't have to do it out of necessity, um, we decided that we didn't want to have to burden the wedding party with, you know, the kid. Um, so he went up to see my family or stay with my family for the duration of our trip. On Thursday, we prepped the cat supplies because we had a bad experience with what's kenneling them. So we decided we were no longer doing that. We would find a cat sitter or ask. Well, first we would ask my family to see if they would be able to cat sit. Otherwise, we find a local cat sitter to do it. Luckily, my cousin was able to just pop down at our house for an hour or two every day to take care of the cats and play with them. And then I installed Persona 5 Royal on my Switch since we had 2 flights to Canada. Um, Speaking of which, Friday was our travel day. Both of our flights were delayed. Our flight to Toronto from Philly International, we had to sit on the landing for a while because of a terrible rainstorm. I do not remember what happened in Toronto for our flight to be delayed. Um, but the flight from Toronto to, oh my goodness, it wasn't Banff. What was that place called? Oh my goodness, it's gonna kill me. Maybe I'll remember. Oh, maybe I'll remember later. We did have. Where did we land? Oh, it's gonna bother me that I can't remember. Calgary. We landed in Calgary. Then we had a 2-hour bus ride to Banff. But while we were in Toronto, we grabbed Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons is basically, I guess, the Dunkin' of Canada. um, the Dunkin' Donuts. Although I guess Dunkin' Donuts is kind of like a East Coast thing, I believe. It's not. Well, no, America runs on Dunkin'. I don't know, but I guess Tim Hortons is kind of the equivalent of that. Um, and then yeah, we had a bus trip to Banff. On Saturday, that was the excursion day for the wedding party. So the guys were whitewater rafting, which I applaud my husband on doing because he is deathly afraid of whitewater rafting, and he did it. He was a trooper. He stuck it out. The gals, we took a gondola ride and up the mountains, and then we went on a cruise on Lake Minnewanka. I learned a lot during that cruise, actually, like how there's only one beach on the lake and you cannot actually like step on the beach because it's got sacred like fossils. Maybe not sacred, but there were fossils on there, so like they don't want you near those fossils. And then since my excursion ended early, I went and explored like the downtown of Banff a little bit. I got milk tea from Milk Tea Banff. That's like, I think that's what the restaurant was called. And then I tried a beaver tail. And then I had a second beaver tail because I low key liked it that much. My husband was like, I don't get what you see in this. And I'm like, I don't really get what I see it in either, but I really like it. So leave me alone. um, they also have poutine there, and I don't really understand poutine, but Christine was saying you have to have a good poutine to understand it. We didn't try poutine, but this was like the first and only time I'd really heard of a poutine. Um, so it's on my list to try. She says it has to be a good poutine, otherwise it's not worth it. On Sunday was a free day for the wedding party, so we visited Old Banff Cemetery. It's something we do when we go to different places is visit cemeteries. It's actually really interesting to walk through and see the headstones and the age and who's buried there. So we usually go to a cemetery whenever we go anywhere. We visited Banff Upper Hot Springs. Um, and then we had a kind of nice-ish dinner at Brazen at Banff. I remember very specifically they tried to flambe something and it failed twice. Actually, I think it was twice. It was at least once, but I'm pretty sure they failed twice. And I was like ready to record it, and they're like, "We're really sorry that this is like not going well." And I was like, "It's okay. Like, don't worry about it." Um, the wedding was on the 19th. Oh, Sunday was also Father's Day. I didn't mark that. I remember that because Ed, you know, or Max wasn't able to spend the day with Ed, who we call Bub colloquially on the internet. So here's my one my one slip. So that's Bub is not actually his name. His name is actually Ed. We just call him Bub. Um so he wasn't able to spend Father's Day with his son, but we were there for a wedding. Um on Monday was the wedding day, so Josh and Haley decided to get married up in the mountains. So we had a helicopter ride up to the mountains. The problem or the concern was that there was a huge snowstorm happening at the time. Um, but they did get the all clear. The chapter company is very well trained and they know what they're doing. Um, if you've never been in a helicopter, it's like crazy because you can feel it feels like you're falling forward because the way the helicopter works is that it leans forward to go forward, and you can feel it because the vehicle's so small, so you feel every kind of twist and turn, and like you can see how high you are off the ground. um it was really fun, but also really terrifying because this was my first time in a helicopter. Um, on the way up, I think I sat in the back, but on the way up, I sat in the front because I wanted to see everything. On the way back, I sat in the back, just to give other people that experience. But it was a lovely ceremony. It was really freaking cold though because it was snowing, and I didn't bring stuff for snow. Um, so that's that. We had a lovely picnic up there. It was just very, very cold. Like, I kind of wish we went down and had the picnic not up there, but it was an experience of a lifetime. Then we had some downtime in the middle, and then there was the reception at Lupo, which is an Italian place up there. Very cool. Like the vibe of the place is very fun. No, that was see, I'm used to saying Sunday here. Tuesday was a travel day, and for some reason, our flights back home were also delayed. Whoopee. I do remember so my husband has this vendetta against Toronto airport, Toronto in general, but mostly because of the airport, is because we had to go from one side of the airport to the other to reach our connecting flight in a very short period of time because of the delay. Um, and we still had to go through customs, and we're like, how are we gonna make it through customs, get to the other side of the airport, and like eat? We did make it, but now he has this perception. I mean, me too, to an extent, about the Toronto airport. But that is neither here nor there. So this is the spread. I feel like my foil balance is a little off, but that's okay. That's okay. I feel like I should have just gone all in with the snowflakes, but it is what it is. And here are the leftovers. And that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I would love it if you gave the video a like. Leave a comment with your thoughts below. And if you would subscribe to my little channel. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.